Welcome to the Book of Life, a show about Jewish people and the books we read, the music we listen to, and the movies we watch. I'm Heidi Estrin. The Book of Life is a podcast service of the Feldman Library at Congregation B'nai Israel in Boca Raton, Florida. In this March 2006 episode of our podcast, we celebrate the holiday of Purim. We'll hear from Rabbi Moshe Waldoks, co-author of the Big Book of Jewish Humor, now celebrating its 25th year in print. Author Latifa Berry-Kropf will tell us about her picture book for little kids, It's Purim Time. And CBI's own cantor Stephanie Shore will get us into the mood for a Purim spiel. Rabbi Moshe Waldoks is a storyteller, a stand-up comedian, and the co-author with William Novak of the Big Book of Jewish Humor. He is the spiritual leader of Temple Beth Zion, an unaffiliated and unorthodox shul in Brookline, Massachusetts. For more information, see tbzbrookline.org. Reb Moshe wants to mention that all our listeners are welcome to come to services if you're in the neighborhood. We spoke to him by phone in Brookline, Massachusetts.
Reb Moshe, what makes a joke Jewish?
Well, strict constructionists would say that a Jewish joke is going to have in it Jews, rabbis, Israel, whatever. A loose constructionist would say that Seinfeld, even though it very rarely mentions the word Jew, that's a Jewish-style joke, meaning it's verbal, that it's anti-authoritarian, that it has an element of giving a shtoch, a jab,
Why is humor so important in Jewish culture?
Well, they say one of the first jokes appears early on in the Bible, where the children of Israel leave Egypt and they are confronted by the Red Sea. They offer Moses this great punchline. What's the matter, Moses? There weren't enough graves in Egypt? Bum, bum. And we use humor as a way to sort of reveal some of the hidden truths that are behind the facade that all of us wear. And that's what makes Purim so wonderful as well, because Purim is the prime example of taking authority and putting it on its head.
That was my next question. Why is humor such a big part of the holiday of Purim?
Well, it's funny. What came first, humor or Purim? The most recent Bible scholarship on the scroll of Esther is that it is already a parody of the traditional palace intrigue stories that always existed in the ancient world.
Can you tell us about creating the Big Book of Jewish Humor?
Well, we wanted to show that the Marx Brothers would be very comfortable with the wise men of Chelm, where that Shalom Aleichem and some of the newer writers like Philip Roth, etc., all come out of a certain old tradition. I think we're very successful with it. The Big Book of Jewish Humor, I'm glad to say, has been alive for 25 years, and we will be issuing a 25th anniversary edition of the book in the fall. In the new introduction, we are reviewing the phenomena that here we are 25 years after the book came out, and Jewish humor, which at that time we didn't know if Jewish humor would survive. We were very concerned. Here we are in 2006, and the major forces in humor are still Jews, whether it's Larry David and Curb Your Enthusiasm, Sarah Silverman, Jon Stewart. So it's really a wonderful time to reassess where Jewish humor in the United States is, and it's doing quite well, as a matter of fact.
Would you tell us a joke?
Oh, there's so many. They're all my children. It's hard to choose just one. But there are a couple that I like from Rabbi Bob Alper, you may have heard of. We follow Jewish tradition in our family and have named our son after my grandfather. We call him Grandpa. Or Joel Chasnoff. When I was 10 years old, I asked my father if there was a Santa Claus. You know what he said? No. I said, Dad, can you be so sure? I've seen him on TV. I've seen him at the mall. I have friends who believe in him. How do you know there's no Santa? He said, son, it's impossible. There's no way that one man can go around from house to house to house in one night. So I thought about it. And you know what I said? What about Elijah? He said, oh, that's different. We're only 2% of the population. The power of Jewish humor is that good jokes, right? Mm-hmm. The punchlines become almost like axioms that get passed on, and the different generations add their own preface to get to the same punchline. So, for instance, one night friends of ours went to see The Producers, back when Nathan Lane and Matthew Broderick were still in the cast. The play was in its 4th month, and tickets were impossible to find. But somehow they were able to acquire a pair of seats in the 12th row. And just before the play begins, Suzanne noticed an empty seat in the row behind them. When intermission arrived and the seat was still unoccupied, Suzanne turned around and said to the woman next to the empty seat, forgive me, but this show is so popular that we can't help but wonder why that seat beside you isn't taken. That seat, the woman said, belonged to my late husband. Well, Well, Suzanne expressed her condolences and then said, "But didn't you have a friend or a family member who wanted to see the show?" "I tried," said the woman, "but they're all at the Shiva."
Oh. Oh, no. I didn't expect that.
Well, that's the whole point. We hope you don't exactly.
Right.
Also, we've noticed in the last number of years a return of what we call folk humor. And more synagogues have people in their congregations who are writing Purim plays and Purim spiels, or material to be read in the shul. For instance, a friend of ours, Richard Israel, a rabbi, wrote a contemporary guide to the Tashlich ceremony, a custom of throwing breadcrumbs into the water on the first day of Rosh Hashanah to symbolize the process of ridding ourselves of sins. So he had a whole list of Tashlich hints, like, for instance, for ordinary sins, use white bread. For exotic sins, French bread. For complex sins, multigrain, etc., etc. There's another phenomenon you may have seen is called haikus for Jews and Zen Judaism. So, for instance, in a book by David Bader, 7-foot Jews in the NBA, slam dunking, my alarm clock rings. Or this one, left the door open for the prophet Elijah. Now our cat is gone. Every joke passed along is a small victory over despair.
Reb Moshe, thanks so much for speaking with us about Jewish humor.
My pleasure. And remember, when you come to shul this year for Purim, come in costume.
Raise your hand to tell me something about Purim.
Haman was the bad guy, and they hit the groggers whenever you say his name. It's like the Jewish Halloween.
Why is it like Jewish Halloween?
Because you get to dress up in costumes.
Okay.
You get to have a lot of sugary food. You eat Hamantashen.
What do you like inside your Hamantashen?
The prune ones. I like chocolate and cherry. Berry. Peanut butter. You get to have parties sometimes on that holiday.
Latifa Berry Kropf writes a series of picture books on the Jewish holidays, illustrated with photos of real preschool children by photographer Todd Cohen. The series began in 2002 with It's Challah Time and progressed through It's Seder Time, It's Hanukkah Time, It's Sukkah Time, and in 2005 It's Purim Time, all published by Carben Publishing. We spoke to Latifa by phone at her home in Charlottesville, Virginia.
Latifa, tell us about your book, It's Purim Time.
Well, this is a book that I made with the preschoolers that I used to teach, and the children always loved Purim. They especially loved dressing up and making costumes. So that's what we do in this book.
What inspired you to turn your classroom into a series of Jewish picture books?
Every Friday I made challah with my class, and I started looking for a book about making challah, and I didn't see any. So I contacted my friend Todd Cohen, who's a photographer, and asked him if he'd like to give it a try and see if we could make a book and get it published. He photographed the children making challah in all different stages and preparing for Shabbat, and we did find a publisher, Carben, and they liked the book so much that they asked us to do a series on the Jewish holidays.
What was it like doing a photo shoot with such young children?
Well, we learned as we went through the series of books. In my challah book, for example, there's a part where all the children are looking into the bowl to look at the ingredients. So what I was doing is running in and putting something in the bowl, like plastic dinosaurs or something sparkly, something to get their attention, and then running out of the way while Todd took the pictures. So there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes in these pictures.
How did the children like being photographed for the book?
Some of them get a little frustrated when we want to take the same picture over and over again, but they love seeing themselves in the book. And I always do a book signing at our synagogue where the preschool is, where all the children come and they sign copies of the book. And they really enjoy doing that.
Tell us about the activity at the back of the book.
The activity is making recycled groggers. We take soda cans and put in bird seed and then decorate them. And we thought that it was good to teach them about recycling. And rather than just putting in rice or rocks or something that will just get thrown away, we thought it would be wonderful for the children to know that afterwards they can then use the contents of their grogger to feed birds.
Latifa, one more question. Are the Hamantashen in the pictures homemade?
Yes, they definitely are. And I made them.
What's your special secret recipe?
It's a cream cheese butter dough.
What's your favorite filling?
Well, it's not in the book, but my favorite filling is chocolate.
You share that with many of the preschool children.
Right. And in preschool, sometimes we fill them with chocolate and peanut butter.
Latifah, thank you so much for talking with us about your series of preschool books.
Thank you, Heidi. It's just been a real treat to get to share them with you and with your audience. And I hope everybody has a wonderful Purim.
Everything's fine here in Shushan. Everything's fine in its way. Adar has come and I'm smiling. We are all happy today.
Cantor Stephanie Shore is the cantor at Congregation B'nai Israel in Boca Raton, Florida. She is also a performer, a composer, and a recording artist. Her recordings, available through the congregation's gift shop or at stephanieshore.com, include Walk into the Light, L'Ador V'Dor, Quiet Time, and her new CD, My Soul, in which she harmonizes with her mother, Cantor Rita Shore. We spoke to her in her office at Congregation B'nai Israel. Cantor Shore, why do we need Jewish music in our lives?
Jewish music absolutely taps into what I believe is that very deep, almost genetic source within us that connects to people now and connects to people that were thousands of years ago and that are connected to people in the future. It's that Jewish vibe, if you want to say,
Who are some of your favorite Jewish recording artists?
Oh gosh, there's just so many. I'm enjoying Rick Recht now. Some of the newer things that the kids are listening to. Dan Nichols, Yom Chadash, Matovu. These are some wonderful new young artists. Noam Katz. Really engaging our young people with just fabulous contemporary Jewish music.
Are there any particular recordings that you highly recommend?
Yeah, I would recommend anything by Sam Glazer, anything by Rick Recht, anything by, of course, Debbie Friedman.
Can you tell us a little bit about the importance of music in the Jewish tradition?
Every single holiday has a specific melody that's attached to it. If you walked into a synagogue and you didn't know what time it was, what day it was, what holiday, anything, you could absolutely know the time of day and what day it was just by listening to the way the cantor chants the prayers. Music really does play an important part of Jewish life. It really does bind us to our history, to the past, to the present, and the future.
You've composed many original pieces of Jewish music. What does it feel like to compose music? How do you go about it?
I'll tell you a story about when I composed Hashkivenu. And oftentimes this is what will happen to me. I'll be sleeping and I will get the urge, pick up your guitar. And, when you're sleeping, you don't want to get up and do anything, let alone go pick up your guitar. So this particular night, it kept bugging me. Go pick up your guitar over and over. I couldn't sleep. I was tossing, turning. I finally went and picked up my guitar and the song came out. There was no thought, there was no preparation. It just came out. And I really do consider myself an instrument for that divine energy to flow through and compose.
Every year for Purim, you create new music to celebrate the temple's Purim spiel. Can you tell us about that?
We've done themes on Gilbert and Sullivan, the Marx Brothers, the Beach Boys, Fiddler on the Roof, Guys and Dolls, Motown, Grease. The kids also do a full spiel every year. The kids have done Finding Nemo, Star Wars, Men in Black, SpongeBob, Austin Powers. This way they're doing Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. It's endless. I think there's 27, 28 spiels on the web. You probably know about PurimSpiels.com. This year I'm very excited to say that we have sold 35 spiels all over the country and in Canada, and we're getting rave reviews.
Why are Purim spiels always a spoof of some other well-known story?
There's something really engaging about parody. For instance, this year we're doing Oklahoma, and we're calling it Oiklahoma. Just even to say the name, it's fun.
Do you want to sing a little bit from it?
Ahasuerus ruled a land called Shushan long ago, and he had a wife who caused him strife, and out the door he made her go. So it's really a lot of fun. The people in the show are having a ball, and that can only translate out to everybody else having fun. It's totally contagious.
Do you have anything else that you want to say?
Heidi in our library, along with my help, has established a terrific music library where you can actually check out CDs and listen to some of this wonderful music that we've been talking about. If you want to hear a little bit more of that in your own time in your car and really, really get inspired, I would highly recommend to check out the Feldman Library.
Kendra Shore, thank you so much for speaking with us about Jewish music.
Heidi, it's been my pleasure. I'm very, very happy that we got to talk together.
If you'd like to share a page from your own book of life, or to express your opinion on our show about a particular book, CD, or video owned by the Feldman Library, email me, Heidi Estrin, at heidi@cbiboca.org. That's HEIDI@cbiboca.org. Our background music is provided by the Freiloch Makers Klezmer String Band from Sacramento, California, whose CDs feature upbeat music from the Ashkenazic and Sephardic traditions with Brazilian, Gypsy, and Celtic influences. Borrow their CDs at the Feldman Library or buy your own copies at freilochmakers.com. To download episodes of the Book of Life podcast, visit us on the web at jewishbooks.blogspot.com. That's jewishbooks, one word, .blogspot.com. Links to the books and CDs mentioned in the show are available on this website. To take us out, we have a bonus track for you from Oklahoma, sung by cantor Stephanie Shore. Borrow the soundtrack at the Feldman Library or order it at purimspiels.com. Thanks for listening.
It's here that our queen took a stand, 'cause Hadassah stood up, life is grand. So when we say rush on every Purim day, rush, we're really saying no thanks to you, Achashverosh, Achashverosh, oy vey. So when we say rush on every Purim day, rush, we're really saying no thanks to you, Achashverosh, Achashverosh. Aleph, Chet, Shin, Vav, Resh, Vav, Shin.